Hello everyone, welcome to this particular video. In this lab, we are going to look at service endpoints and look at storage. Okay, storage plays a huge part in cloud security. This is where you're going to store all of your data, and that's where you're going to store all kinds of stuff, right? It doesn't matter whether it's a relational database or no SQL or any other kind. You're using a Cosmos DB, SQL, MongoDB, what table storage, queue storage, anything you're using, you have to understand how to secure your storage in a cloud environment. Okay, this lab is specifically designed for the AZ 500 exam. It's available from our Microsoft Learning on GitHub, and I'm going to give you the link in my video description. So let's just put it over here so that I don't forget. But this lab not only applies for anybody who is searching for AZ 500, but it's also a topic that's covered everywhere. Like if you're doing the AZ 104 for administration, or AZ 300 series, like 303 to 304 for architect, you must be comfortable with the storage, how to deploy different type of storage, how to secure them. All right, so here the main aspects of this lab. Okay, we are going to create a storage endpoint, so traffic destined to Azure Storage always stays within Azure backbone network, so that is really crucial. Configure the storage endpoint so only resources from a specific subnet can access the storage, and confirm the resources outside the specific subnet cannot access the storage. So we'll see how to configure. So I'm just not going to put everything in my description, just put some points that we're going to cover. So the first exercise 1, is about the service endpoints and security of your storage accounts. Now this lab is going to take about 45 minutes for us to complete, and we'll see how quickly we can do this. So again, the major task. Okay, so let's just copy this one. These are the tasks that we are going to do step by step. So we're going to start with creating a virtual network. This is a pretty standard and should be pretty simple. Just creating the Azure portal. Most of the work probably you're going to do using the portal. Some we can also do it using CLI. Once I have a virtual network, I'm going to add a subnet to the virtual network, and we're going to configure a storage endpoint. Okay, configure a network security group and restrict access to the subnet. Okay, that's the third thing. Create a storage account with a file share. So look at that, we haven't even created any storage account until we have configured our infrastructure. Okay, once we have that, we're going to deploy a virtual machine into the designated subnet from where we will have access to this particular storage account. Once all of it's done, then we're going to test the storage connection from the private subnet to confirm that access is allowed. Like if I try to connect it from my Ubuntu machine, I should be denied the access, but if I log into that particular subnet and try to connect to that storage account, I should have access. Okay, and the last thing that we want to do is test the storage connection from the public subnet to confirm the access is denied. So that's I just mentioned just a bit ago. So let's get to work. So create a virtual network. So this is very simple. So let's go to portal, find out virtual network, and click add. So that experience should be very similar. So let's just go back to my storage account. I'm just gonna start with the resource group, make sure that I don't have any old resources that I don't need anymore. That all looks good. So I'm gonna search for virtual network. So there we go. So I have my virtual network, and here I have one. So this is, I'm not gonna change any. I'm gonna click on add, and this should give me a new blade with a very familiar experience with any other Azure deployment. Okay, so now we have it. So what we want to do, we just need a new resource group and a name for it. So let's go there, and we're gonna call this resource group where we're gonna deploy this virtual network is this. So create new, and this, and so that's gonna create a new resource group. And what is the name? My virtual network. It's very important that you have your name properly configured. So now with all that, let's see on the IP address. So this time we're gonna create even our own IP configuration. So IP address, so let's go there. Next, IP address. So here it's telling you the virtual network address space specified as one or more address prefixes in CID and notation. Okay, you can use 192.168.1.0.24, that's class C. This is class B, 10.1.0.0.16. Okay, so let's see if we want this address space, set the IP address space to this. So it's already set there. In the subnet name column, click the default and edit subnet value. So we're gonna change the default subnet. So when you create it, Azure always adds this default subnet, so we just need to click on here, change that name to public, and it looks like 10.0.0.0.24. It's asking 10.0.0.0.24, and here I had one, so let's cancel this one. 10.0.0.0.16 is what we need. Okay, so and look at that. If I want, I can even add multiple address space. Okay, but I just need one for this lab, so I'm going to delete the default one, and here now I'm going to click on add subnet, just call it public and put 10.0.0.0.24. look at that, under 24 it says you have 251 addresses available, 5 will be reserved for Azure. And here is the services. Here you need the Microsoft storage, that endpoint that you can configure. Let's see if it's asking us to do it right now or not. Let's come back over here. IP address, review, create. Okay, so this here, it did not ask us to configure our endpoint just yet, so we will not do that in this part. Okay, values, okay, that looks good. IP address, so we are not configuring this here, so I'm not configuring anything right now. Just say add. So I have a address space. Under this big address space, I have a smaller subset which I'm calling a public subnet, and I'm just creating this one. Okay, if the validation is successful, you just hit create, and that should create the subnet for you. Okay, alright, so that is going pretty well. Let's alright, let's see what's going on with the deployment. So let's go back to the portal. So it's nice that now we have these buttons over here that you can click to go to the deployment when the deployment is done. I've been complaining about this for a long time. Maybe Microsoft somehow learned about this problem, or somebody else reported. Okay, so once the deployment is complete, you can click here or over here to go to the resource. So let's go to the resource, take a quick look at it, whether our virtual network deployment is properly done. Okay, so this is the virtual network blade, and every single resource, they have a unique icon and also tiny little letters. It's also telling you this is a virtual network. And over here we deployed this in the East US location. We haven't added any tags. Here's the address space, 10.0.0.0.16. DNS server, Azure is providing our DNS. There's no connected device. Let's see subnets. I should see the public subnet, and with 10.0.0.0/24 address, and we have 251 public IPs that we can use. Okay, so I don't have any security group or nothing else available. don't have gateway subnet, nothing like that. But so far it looks like that deployment went really well. So next we're going to add a subnet to the virtual network and configure storage. So this is going to create another subnet. So the deployment, we created this public subnet, so now we're going to add another one for the storage only. On the virtual network, it's really asking us to go to the subnet where we are already in, and then let's just deploy a new subnet. Click on subnet, so it's going to give you this new blade, right? Subnet name is this time, so we already created one, we called it public, so this time we're going to say private. And 10.0.10.24 10.0.10.24, it's already selected there, so I'm good. NAT gateway I don't need. So from here, okay, so in the last time when we were doing, I said that we can select the endpoint. Okay, so for this public network, what they're saying, we are not going to enable the public endpoint on this particular subnet. We're going to enable from the private network. So now we can select the Microsoft storage. Okay, and service endpoint policies, there's no policies. Delegated subnet network to a service. Let's see if we need to do anything. I just don't think we need anything right now. Just Microsoft storage should be good. So let's see, endpoint services is good. Subnet delegation, at this time I'm not configuring anything, and just say okay. And a new subnet called private should show up in here, right? There we go. So this is a private subnet. We're gonna use 10.0.10/24 address space for this one, and that's about it. So that part is now also done. Third thing, configure a network security group to restrict access to that subnet. Okay, so now this is also pretty simple. So all we need to do is search for a network security group and create that resource. So like just have the resource, just search for that one, network security group. Never select the classic, that's old. Always go with the one without the classic parenthesis. So click on that one. So again, this is a network security group. I have one that I'm not gonna use. I'm gonna create a new one. Click add. Again, this view or the experience will be exactly the same as anything else. So over here, same resource group, we're gonna select NSG private. So most likely we're gonna apply this on the private network, and the resource group, we're gonna choose the resource group that we have already created. East US is good. So let's look at on the Azure portal, navigate back. Okay, so create. Okay, so let's create that one. There's nothing else to configure other than tags, so I don't need to create any tag. That's not mandatory. It's useful but not mandatory, so I'm not using it. So this is gonna create the network security group, and look at that. Again, this button is available, deployment is complete, so I can click on that to go to my network security group. So in the network security group, by default you have some inbound rules and some outbound rules already available to you, but if you look at it, we have not associated this network security group to anything. So let's see how to associate and what ports to open from this private network. Okay, so let's come back over here. So in the Azure portal, navigate back and click that NSG private entry. On the private entry setting, outbound security role. So what they're saying, we have to add a new outbound security rule. So that's also pretty simple. So you just go to the outbound security rule, click add, and it's again going to give you a new blade, and let's configure the way it wants. Source virtual network. So source, not any network, so we are using virtual network. And source port is start, that means any port. Protocol any action allow, and destination is service tag and storage. Destination service tag, and what kind of service tag is storage. So just search for storage. Actually it will be storage. There we go, storage. So destination is storage. This is gonna allow our traffic within a virtual network from any port going to a storage account, and destination port range, let's see, destination port range star. Okay, and then protocol any or TCP, which one? Protocol any, action allow priority 1000, action allow priority 1000, and we're gonna name this as allow storage all. Okay, so let's come back over here, do allow storage all. I don't need to do any description. So again, verify source virtual network on any port going to a storage account on any port, protocol any, doesn't matter TCP or UDP, you allow the traffic, priority is 1000 and name is storage, allow storage all. So I think we got all of that over here. So just hit add. It should add this outbound rule, and that's it. So now you have set up a new rule that goes to the storage account or private endpoint. Okay, now on the NSG private blade settings, click outbound security rule and click add. So they're adding another one for what? So let's see, let's select first add, and over here again we're going to start with virtual network. So virtual network to any port and to internet. So looks like we are going to deny all access to internet. So let's from here, service tag internet, port is start, doesn't matter what port, what kind of protocol, deny everything. Okay, and then priority is 1100. Let's put that, and name is deny internet all. So now you have also learned how to deny all traffics to internet that is originating within the virtual network. If you're trying to go to the internet, it is going to be blocked if you associate this NSG to any of the subnet. Okay, so again, verify for virtual network any port going to the internet to any port, protocol any, deny that. Okay, that's great. So add it. So I have one rule that only allows outbound access to storage, any other access to internet is currently blocked within this if you're using this particular NSG. So that's great. So you can read some of the notes. This rule that we just added, it overrides the default rule in all network security groups that allows outbound internet connection. Okay, now what we need to create inbound security rule to get to that server. So I need to allow RDP traffic to this subnet. This rule overrides the default security rule as well that denies all inbound traffic. So let's just do that. Let's go to our inbound security rule and let's add a port that is gonna be allowed for RDP. So any star virtual networks, any star coming to our virtual network, destination port should be 3389. Let's see, let's verify. 3389, it's a TCP protocol. We know that because it's a RDP connection. Allow priority is, oh, not this. Priority is 1200 and allow RDP all. So priority 1200 and allow RDP all is what we're going to call that inbound rule. Okay, so let's double verify. So it's coming from any source to any port, destination our virtual network, destination port if it's 3389, and if the connection is TCP we're going to allow that one. Okay, then just say add and it should be adding the rule for us. Alright, we have one rule that we have created. Just in this line you can also review it quickly. It's allow RDP rule. It's the inbound security rule. We have opened up port 3389. If someone is trying to connect using TCP from anywhere in the whole world to our virtual network, we're going to allow the connection. Okay, let's see if we need to do anything else. Alright, so as I said, now we have everything configured. We have configured our NSG the way we like. Now you need to associate that. If you don't, then these NSGs don't apply. So we're going to associate our private subnet that we created with this particular subnet. So again, go back over here, go to subnets. Association is very easy. Just click on your associate and you just click on it and it's gonna show up. So I have two different virtual network. Under this I have I have two different resource group which got virtual network. This is the virtual network we want to select. So once you select that, it's going to show up what other subnets we have can be associated, which one, private or public. Which one do we want to associate? We want to associate the private subnet with this network security group, and you just say okay, and it should associate this subnet over here. Now this is configured properly. So if you're deployed in this network, you cannot go to the internet. You can only access the storage account, and other thing is you can log in to the machine if you deploy something, a virtual machine in this network. If you're deploying Windows, you can log in using the RDP protocol. Okay, so everything is going really well so far. So the next thing, we're going to create a storage account and we're going to create a file share. So that's, again, this is very easy to do. So storage account, we're going to go and search for that particular resource type, and again, do not select the classic, select the regular storage account. And again, the experience is very similar. Click on add. It's going to give you a new blade, and we're going to configure the way it wanted. We're going to deploy in the same resource group. We just have to come up with a unique account name because it has to be unique across Azure. So let's see, over here resource group, we're going to use the same. Okay, storage account name, let's just say endpoint storage. No, that's somebody's already taken. So 1 2 3, that one is available, so we have that. Let's see if you can configure some of that, but that is not the main purpose of the lab, so I don't think they're going to put too much focus on it. So East US, standard, storage VTU, and LRS. So these are all the defaults. So performance standard is good, storage V2 is the latest one, and most likely 99% of the time you'll be using storage V2 and not the V1. Blob is really old, so don't even worry about that one for now. For the replication, you are using the LRS. That means within one data center, if you have a rack, you will have 3 different copies of the data available. But something happens to the rack, you'll be in trouble, but it's the least expensive one. Access tier hot, that's fine. Let's see. On the basics review create, it's interesting that it didn't ask us to configure the network here. It's fine. It will create its own network and stuff. So connectivity method, it's all default. That's what the lab is telling you to do. So it's just connectivity method is a public endpoint. So any network by default will be able to access this particular storage account. Okay, network routing, we're gonna use the Microsoft default routing for this one. Data protection, blob soft delete, I typically enable this one, and file soft delete, enable this one. Okay, at least for 7 days it's gonna keep it. Okay, go to advanced secure transfer required, I always enable this one. Allow blob public access, I'm not gonna change. Minimum TLS, you can change this to 1.2 if you want to use a little bit more security. Large file share, I can enable this one. Large file share storage account do not have the ability to convert to geo redundant storage offer. Well, I'm just click on disable for now. Data lake storage, you have nothing to configure. Go to next. Tag, it's not required, it's good to have but not required, so I'm not going to create anything. I think that should be enough, more than what we needed to configure for this particular storage. In the Azure portal, in the search, resources, services, docs, resource group. Okay, so let's create this storage account now, and next what we'll do, we'll go to the storage account, and then we're going to create a new file share. Now file share is something you can mount it anywhere from your Windows or Linux or whatever. File share is just a good old file share. Okay, that's what we're going to create. So again, the deployment is going on over here right now, and as soon as the deployment is done, okay, this button didn't turn blue, so we go here and click on the go to resource again over here. So that's taking us to the storage account that we just created. This is my storage account, right? So you see we have containers, which is really the blob. File share, tables and queues. Queues, they're effectively scale apps according to traffic, and tables you really don't use too much. This is, although it's called tables, is really for the NoSQL data type. File share is the SMB, what I just said, that it's a file share, good old file share that uses the SMB, works over port 445. Okay, we're gonna create a file share, and we're gonna configure this. Very simple. We're gonna add the name, and we're gonna add 10 gigs quota. Okay, and 10. Okay, that's all you need to create a file share. Look at that. So come back over here on the new file share, click create. We got that. On the storage account blade, on a list of file shares, click file share. On the file share, click connect. So on here, click on this one, and you see the connect button over here. So that's what is asking you to click on, and if you click on it, it's gonna give you, depending on what kind of machine you have, how you mount this. Okay, alright, so let's see how to do that. So let's come back over here. We can do some fancy stuff because I have a Ubuntu machine. We can try to mount it in my Ubuntu as well. I have a virtual machine. Okay, there is a Windows 2019 server running inside my Ubuntu. We can also mount it here, or we can create a virtual machine within Azure and mount it there. So let's see what the lab is asking us to do. On the connect blade on the Windows tab, copy the PowerShell script that creates the Z drive mapping to the file share. Okay, so from here just stick to Windows and copy this and just put it in our notes over here. Okay, there we go. Alright, so come over here, record this script. You will need this later in this lab. Okay, when we deploy a virtual machine. So that's what I just said, right? So navigate back to the storage account blade in the settings section, click on the firewalls and virtual networks. Now what you're gonna do, you're gonna secure your storage account that you just created. Now you have access from everywhere. Now we're gonna restrict that access. So let's go back. So under settings, there should be a firewall and virtual networks. You just click on that one, and right now when we created, we said yeah, give access from any network. Now we're gonna move and do a selected network most likely. Okay, and let's see, on the selected networks, click add existing virtual network link. So let's see over here, where is add existing? Here, add existing virtual network. So first we are removing access from all networks. We are saying okay, give access to selected networks. Then you click on add existing virtual network, and here most likely what you're gonna do, you're gonna go to this particular virtual network, right? So, and then which subnet, use the private subnet. That's what should be given access to this particular storage account. Let's make sure that's what they wanted. Virtual network this and private. Add networks enable, click enable, and then click add. I didn't see any enable button in there. Did you see any enable button? Let me just click on this one. It's not letting me to remove. I'm just gonna click it one more time. I'm just gonna see if there's an enable button in there. So let's, no, I don't see any enable button. I just see the add button. So I think I have done what's needed to add this particular virtual network to give access to this particular storage accounts. And I'm just going to look for The enable button anywhere. Let's do a search for enable. No, there's nothing like that. So that's good. Don't worry about some of the Azure features keep changing. So sometimes your lab will not be exactly the same, but you just have to understand that Azure is constantly changing. Some features may change right after they have created a lab. I think we are good. Okay. So at this point, you have configured a virtual network, a network security group, and a storage account with a file share. So let's review this real quick. Firewall add IP ranges to allow from the internet on your premises. So if you want, you can add a rule for this particular machine that I'm using from here. If I want to enable access, I'm not doing that. Okay. Routing preferences, I think nothing else is needed. So everything looks good. So I'll just say save, and I'm verifying. Okay, that is where it's enabled. Okay, so when we click on that one, it's the private network. This is the address range. Endpoint status is enabled. This is the resource group, and this is the subscription. So okay, I feel better now. Alright, so save. So everything is now saved. We have assigned a particular subnet access to the storage account. So let's see next what we need to do. Logically, we need to deploy a virtual machine in that particular subnet now. Let's learn how to do that. So again, look for virtual machines. It should be pretty simple. Look for virtual machines. Come on. Yeah, and do not select the classic. The regular virtual machine, select add. Now you should know all about how to deploy resources, and then we're going to deploy it in the same resource group, but we're going to select the private subnet. That's where we're going to deploy this particular virtual machine. So let's come over here. What is the name going to be for this machine? It's not the name of the Azure subscription resource group. Virtual machine name is my VM private. Okay. Oh, it's not letting me select. Interesting. All right, so resource group, this virtual machine name, my VM private. Region is no infrastructure redundancy, and this is gonna be, what kind of machine is that? It's gonna be a 2019 data center. So let's just get the data center, and as you spot, know what kind of size you want. I cannot use that one. That is only for Linux. So just choose a size that is supported. Let's DS2 V2, one of those houses that's I have used previously. It's very costly. I'm gonna go DS1 V2. Okay, username and password, local admin. Okay, local admin, and password is a crazy difficult password right there and right there. We do not need anything like that. I think public inbound ports, we are gonna say no. So what it's gonna do, if you don't create, it will not have any inbound port rule associated with the NIC. Okay, and that's okay, because we already have a network security group that is going to control all the inbound connection to this particular network. So that's good. So that's good. I think we are public inbound none, and already have a Windows Server license. No, I don't. Disk, I don't think we need anything. Disk type standard HDD Creek networking. So only thing they're saying, just change it to save you some more cost. Then go to networking. On the networking, we are gonna use the network. My virtual network is fine. Private is good. Public IP is going to be created. Network security group, here we already have a network security group, so most likely I'm going to click on advanced, and this is the network security group that I'm going to select, right? So let's verify public IP network security group. Oh, it's saying that no, don't use this network security group. I'm not sure why would you say that. virtual network private, my private IP, NIC network security group. Okay, maybe we are going to assign that later after the deployment. So you can assign it right now if you like, or if this is right now they're saying yeah, do not assign a network security group. That's fine. Load balancing and nothing else I don't need to configure. Then management tab, so let's go to management, and usually they turn off the gauge diagnostics. Boot diagnostic, they are asking us to turn it on. It's on. Okay, OS diagnostic is off. I'm just keeping it off, and then we can review and deploy these particular virtual machines. Okay, you really didn't need to do all that. You know, probably all the default would have been fine. So let's just create these virtual machines, but this is gonna cost me some money, so I have to be quick with the lab, be done, and then get rid of the machine as soon as I can. Alright, the deployment is going on, so come over here. What else? Okay, so we have done all that. So you can continue the next task once the deployment of the virtual private Azure VM is completed. Okay, test the storage connection from the private subnet to confirm that access is allowed. Here I'm a little worried because on that NIC that we just configured, we didn't configure any inbound rule at all to the virtual machine. We just said just go ahead and use the subnet. Subnet is associated with that particular NSG. So let's, okay, it's deployed. So let's go to this virtual machine. This is the virtual IP address that we're gonna use in a second. What I want to look at is my networking. So go to networking. I want to know, okay, so this is saying this is allowed, and this is my network interface. I'm going to go to the network interface card, and I want to see if there's a network security group. So this is still a little weird that it's still, I don't have a network security group for that NIC, but it probably okay. So I don't have a network security group, but the network security is controlled at the subnet layer. Last thing that I wanna check before I continue with the lab is the network security group that we are using. So we have associated subnets. So this subnet level I have applied this particular NSG. Let's look at network interfaces. So we have not applied anything. It's fine. So now I think we are good. What we want to do next is connect to that virtual machine. Now the question is, how would you want to connect? Okay, I'm just gonna use a RDP client. Remina is good enough. So let's go back, go to virtual machines one more time, and this is my virtual machine, the private machine that we created. Copy this one and RDP to that machine, hit OK and hit yes. Now this is local admin, right? And PA RD 1 2 3 4. I think that's what it. I didn't enter the right username and password, so let's just get it. Memory doesn't work all the time, so let's come back over here. Local admin, this is good, and this is password. That's the password. That's the password. Save the password and hit OK. And hopefully it's gonna let me connect. Okay, it's letting me connect. So that's excellent. So we are now able to connect to the virtual machine that we just deployed, right? So let's come back over here. So what we need to do now this we have to mount the storage account. Now if you do not have permission, you won't be able to mount it at all. Okay, So within the remote desktop session to my we're gonna start a Windows PowerShell ISC. So it's from here, so let's just give it a little time and search for the PowerShell. Okay, so PowerShell, Windows PowerShell or PowerShell ISC. PowerShell ISC is what they said. Okay, then I'm gonna copy this, actually not this, copy what I already have here, right? I think that's what I need. What do you think? Copy, then paste and run the PowerShell script you recorded in earlier. Okay, so this, don't copy this, copy what you already copied previously that we stored. So over here, paste everything, and I don't use this IAC thing much, so hopefully just hit enter and see if it's working. It's doing something, attempting TCP connect, waiting for response, running script. So it's trying to do something. Let's just give it a minute and see what happens. Okay, the storage placeholder represents the name of a storage account. Start File Explorer and verify that Z drive mapping has been successfully created. So I still don't see anything in here yet. Okay, just give it a minute, and as soon as this one is done, we'll continue with the lab. Yeah, I'm not getting any response back from running the scripts. It's making me a little nervous. We may have to go back and try to figure out again if we have our access to that endpoint is properly done. But from here, I'm not so far getting any response. It doesn't really take. I've done this before. It usually gets done like in minutes. Where is my RAM? Here is my RAM. It still says waiting for response. If you look at, okay, so here, did it give me any response? So it says cannot connect to CIM server. Okay, call was cancelled by the message filter. Okay, so from, I know that it says unable to reach the Azure Storage account via port 445. Check to make sure your organization or ISP is not blocking port 445, or use Azure P2S VPN, Azure whatever. So they're saying. So let's investigate this matter a little bit more. Okay, let's go back to our Azure environment, and again from this particular machine, go to networking. In this one, allow RDP to all. This we know that it's working, right? Do I have a outbound port rule? So for the outbound port rule, so this is being applied. So this is going to any port to a storage account is allowed. So we have done that. That's should be good. And this is where is networking? These we don't need. Subnet is the private subnet. Okay, so that is also looks good to me. So this is the NIC is in our private subnet. So all of the networking from here seems to be good. Let's go back then to the storage account. Okay, storage accounts, and this is the storage account that we're working on. Okay, so let's we configured our security under where? Under here somewhere, firewall and virtual networks. Okay, so from here we did selected network. Alright, this is the weird, no, it says enabled. So from this private network, address range 10.0.10.24, we have enabled the connection. So I don't see any reason why it is not giving us connection to this particular storage account. That's not good. Okay, let's do one other thing. Hold on. Alright, I think what I was doing wrong when I was running the script, it was only taking a partial portion of it. So what I had to do, I had to open up the IAC again, click on a script file, so it like click on over here, then pasted the command and hit the run button. Okay, and it said completed. So this time I didn't get any error. So what I want to do right now, go back to my file explorer and see if I have a new drive available to me, and look at that, my files here, Endpoint storage 123 file. So there we go. So sorry about the little confusion that we have. So make sure that when you are running your script, go to IAC and open up a full script and run the whole thing. So if you try to only, so it was only trying to do this and getting failed. So this logic needs to be there, everything else, when you're running the command. So now we have proven that this machine that we created, everything looks good and it has connection to our storage, and right there is the storage. Okay, so let's go back to the lab and finish up what we were doing. So we are done with this, and this mapping is available. We have proven that. Now from the console panel of the Windows PowerShell ISC, run the following to verify that the virtual machine has no outbound connectivity to the internet. So this is also something that we have created using our network security group, right? So let's get rid of this, or I'll just show you how to open up a new pane and then just paste it, and to run it, click on it. So this should not go anywhere, like it's telling me that this operation is going on as of right now, right? So this is not gonna go anywhere because it's something that you were trying to do where we are specifically stopping. You can also go to PowerShell and you can run the same command and you can hit enter and it will do the same thing. It will just wait for a response, and at the end it will say no, it's not successful. Okay, so that we have verified, and finally we can terminate the desktop connection to the my VM private, the virtual machine. So let's see. I mean, there is no real need. It's gonna attempt to connect for a little bit and then it will say no, the connection is not possible. Okay, so I think we are good on that. So let's move on to the test the storage connection from the public subnet to confirm that access is denied. So navigate back to the virtual machine blade. On the virtual machine blade, click the my VM public entry. So we didn't deploy another virtual machine that they have deployed in the public network, right? We haven't done that. So there's a reason why I skipped that. So I skipped it because you really don't need that. You can use your own machine, right? I have an Ubuntu machine. Why do I need to even create a virtual network? If you want, you go ahead and welcome. You can deploy another virtual machine in the public network. But I'm just gonna use my this Ubuntu and see if we can do anything about it and verify that storage account is not accessible. So let's come back over here and go back to the storage account, and really, if you are super if you really want to deploy a machine, I will deploy that as well. Don't worry about it. So let's first go back to the storage account, and where is my that's the configuration, and I'm just looking for to get the sorry, it's from here. So again, go back to the storage account, go back to the file share, and in the file share, if you click on that one, there's so many things. This is access control, give individual access. It's not even giving me connect is what I need. Okay, connect and say Linux, say this is what I need. Okay, so from here can I run this? Okay, sudo password, provide my sudo password. Password for Abasu, sorry, try again. So just do let's try this one more time. Sudo mount this and that. Okay, so this one is giving me a bad option. It's not letting me to connect. So let's do one last thing. Let's just deploy that machine and verify that we can connect it within the public network. So what I'm really gonna do, go back over here, go to the virtual machine and click add, click a virtual machine, and from here let's just call and configure that as my VM public. Okay, East US resource group, use the same resource group. Availability you don't need, choose another 2019 data center, choose another, this is good. Username is gonna be probably the same username and password, so let's get that one, username, and let's do the same password for here. So let's get that one and put it here, put it over here, and once you have that, you can allow the selected ports for now. I think on this one, public inbound ports saying none, so just don't worry about it. And let me make sure this is the private one. This is how they wanted to configure, and we're gonna put it under the public network. And let's go, it's a disk, make it a standard HDD under networking. Everything looks good. Instead of private, we're gonna choose the public this time. NIC, network security group, is it asking for anything? None. Boot diagnostic, none. And we're just going to deploy this particular virtual machine, review and create, and do again, then create. Alright, so from my Ubuntu virtual machine, I was unable to get to that machine, unable to deploy, unable to mount it. The other thing you can do, you can copy this URL. You probably won't have any access to this, direct access to the storage at all. So here, yeah, it's just gonna say account request HTTPS, the account being accessed does not support whatever. This is storage account and I don't have access. So let's just stick to this. And as soon as this deployment is done, and let's look at what's going on inside inside the other virtual machine. So here, yeah, we tried ping and our test was not successful. So, and it's all, everything failed. So we have proven that this machine does not have any outbound connection. So let's close this machine. So while this deployment is going on, let's go to the virtual machine. I'll teach you something else. So this private machine, we're done working with it, so you can stop. Okay, so if I stop it, it will at least stop charging me for the runtime, and we can also deallocate. So the other deployment is successful, so let's go to the other deployment. So this is the another IP address. So from here, what we'll do this time, we'll go to this other machine which is connected over here, and we're gonna use the similar username and password. Let's come back over here. Local admin is my username, okay, and the password is gonna be this. So we have given that, and given that save password domain I don't need, and then just say okay, it should connect to the machine. All we need to do is try to mount, and if it does not mount, then you know that this particular network does not have access to the storage account. Okay, so that's a simple test that we're gonna do. So I'm gonna again copy all of that, get myself ready for this. I just want to finish up with the lab, and I'm sure that you are too. So it's coming up. As soon as it's here, I'm just gonna click on this, and I'm gonna go and get to our PowerShell. PowerShell, come on, where is my PowerShell? Okay, POWER. So PowerShell, let's go there. Let's there we go, PowerShell, and I want the ISC because I want to run as a script. So as soon as this opens up, what we want to do is click the new script icon, paste everything, and now if I okay, now we can run this, and this one it's just gonna try to attempt, but we are not gonna have any connection to the storage account right there. So we got it says that our connection is not successful, access is denied. So that's pretty much all that you needed for the lab. So we have proven that we cannot, access is denied error, and that is because we did not assign access to the storage account from this public network at all. Okay, you can test this connection as well, test net connection inside this machine. So let's see what that does for us. So here, if you go to PowerShell, for this one you can use this direct PowerShell and paste this and then hit connection, and now it's again doing the same thing, and this time you see this particular machine, this one actually has connection to the internet. So if you are here inside the machine like we are here, if we go there and open up a browser and try to go to maybe Google, we should be able to go there, right? That's what we just proved. We just try to go to Google, google.com, and this one should let me go to google.com. There are security settings that you need to go through, but it will allow you to go to Google, so you know that you have connection access to the internet. Okay, so that's all we wanted to cover in this lab. At this point we have confirmed that this virtual machine in the public subnet cannot access storage account, but it has access to the internet. So at this time we can clean up all the resources because the resources are pretty expensive, and good luck with the exam. If you like the video, although I messed up just a little but not deploying, but I think I covered all the aspects of the lab. So go through the lab multiple times if you have any concern. Storage is a very, very important concept, and this one really covers how you set up your virtual network, how you create your private and public network, how you create the endpoints, and how you create your NSGs to give access to those networks. It's a very, very important concepts. If you're preparing for 500, 104, 300 series, do it multiple times, be comfortable, and if you're studying for the certification, good luck. Thank you for watching the video.